Good everyone, Organized Video, and today we have a review on the XP-50 Skyrocket. Obviously you've seen the second flight, and obviously I've explained why the aircraft is not well, that first game wasn't the way it was, because, well, you can blame a A7M1 Premium whore, because I checked his player card and he had like 40 freaking premiums, most of which were purchased, and yeah, that's not exactly a great first impressions. Now, the XP-50, I've briefly covered it. It's a very nice aircraft. It does have its flaws, but otherwise it's a really good aircraft. So let's go over the flaws. First of all, the cannon ammo is rather limited. Now, that wouldn't be a problem if we had the 450 cals, because, well, 450 cals has perfectly good weight of shot. But of course, Gaijin can't seem to get that right, so unfortunately we're just stuck with 250 cals, which they have good weight of shot, but at the same time, I would rather have 4, as well as the 20s. Additionally, the tail of the aircraft is rather fragile, to the point where I think even a single hit from even a flaccid Frederick probably give this thing a hard time. Additionally, the engines are, well, you can't sit at 100% all the time. I'd actually recommend flying the aircraft at 95%. That means that you can at least maintain some degree of cooling to the engines, and that way you can at least perform still adequately, but at the same time still have enough power to make sure you can get out of dodge if you have to. Now, obviously, with it only having two 20mm and two 12.7s, sometimes you're going to be beaten in the head-on, so I cannot advise head-ons in this aircraft. The wings are pretty tough, but at the same time the engines are not. The engines are extremely vulnerable to damage, so just be aware of that. Now it comes on to price. This aircraft, I believe, is about 1,750 Golden Eagles. Do I think it's worth that price? Definitely. It's either this or a BTD destroyer, and I know exactly which one I'd pick, and it ain't the BTD. So, yeah, this thing is definitely worth your time. It's got incredible performance, it's got good dive, it's got good guns, although it's missing 2 of them, and yeah, this thing is definitely worth your time. Now, if you're not a fan of the silver for whatever reason, there is actually a skin you can unlock, which is olive green, and this does make the plane look really nice. I'm yet to unlock this skin. I'm going to be taking this aircraft out soon enough to finish that skin, but obviously I'll likely have it by the time when this review goes out. Now, from what I can find as well, the XP-50 could also carry 2 100-pound bombs, as I've mentioned in the the second flight video. Personally, I don't think we're going to be seeing that, so, I mean, this plane's been in the game for as long as I can remember, so I severely doubt they're going to bother to put 200-pounders on it. But hey, we'll just have to wait and see. In terms of overall performance, I really enjoyed the aircraft. I had great games in it. Most of the time we were winning. 4 deaths, 57 kills, 14 ground targets, most of which were scored with the 50 cals. And yeah, it's just an excellent all-round aircraft. It's got the performance, it's got the climb, it's got the dive, and it can give most enemy teams a bit of a fright due to how powerful it can be in skilled hands. I have seen my fair share of bad XP-50s, and it is horrible to see these things tail sit in 264s. They've got the guns to do it, but at the same time, you don't tail sit a 264 in this thing. You climb up, you attack them from the nose, and if you can't do that, ignore them, for as far as I can tell. But yeah, this aircraft is definitely worth your time, and put into a squad of another XP-50, this is a recipe for disaster for the enemy team. It's getting to the point as well where I'm learning the aircraft very quickly, and I'm even considering doing what Harry does with it, and that's up tiering it. Because let's be realistic, if it performs like this in a 3-7 to 4-7 game, I know exactly what it's going to do in an up tier. And well, speaking of a squad of XP-50s, me and Hairy Feet are flying XP-50s. So, you can sort of understand where I'm coming from, because at the end of the day, 2 XP-50s plus a P61, that's to be feared. By the way, up there is Killer Ticket Jr. You haven't seen him for a while, that's for definite. Well, at least as far as I remember, I think... Was he in the first flight? I don't think he was. Or the second flight, I don't think he was. But he's been in the channel for a long time. You can actually thank him for some of my thumbnails. Especially stuff like Premium Reviews, Talisman, or Premium Series, Talisman Series, etc. He's done all that for me. He didn't have to, but he's a great guy. He's also helping me with other thumbnails. He was the one who designed the cheater thumbnail. He was the one who designed the community choice, the Premium Series thumbnail, the Hot Wheels thumbnail, you name it. This guy's done it, and yeah, he's a great guy. And when you fly with him, he's funny, but he's also serious, which is what I like. So as you can tell, the XP-50 climbs like a beast. It really does climb. This thing might as well be a homesick angel for how quick this thing gets up into the sky. And this is going to be a game that me and Harry didn't think we would survive. Personally speaking, well, I didn't think we would survive. Harry didn't really care, because, well, he's already flown the XP-50 enough times to just have fun with it. He doesn't care what happens, really. He's just crit both of those 109s down there, and obviously I'm moving in to give him a hand. However, we've also got a squad of 2, and we've also got a few other players who are highly experienced on the enemy team. Those OMCK guys are going to be a bit of a trouble for us. Now it comes to the question of, should you split your guns in this aircraft? Personally, nah. Just, nah, you don't need to. First kill. The thing is that splitting your guns really depends on what you're fighting. If you're fighting the Japanese, split your guns. The 20s will mess them up, the 50s will mess them up. You don't need all the guns firing at the same time. At least, that's my experience. I would rather have my guns separate for dealing with Japanese aircraft. When it comes to Germans though, and their German bombers, which are a bit more durable, I would rather have all my guns ready to go. A bit like this C205 is going to experience. Now unfortunately, that 205 is actually going to kill Tigger. I thought the fire was going to be enough, and quite clearly it wasn't. At least I think it kills him. Or it gets bloody well close. I think it's just crippled him, at least. And yeah, this isn't going to end well for him, unfortunately. But the incredible performance of this plane, I was so confident with it. I love twin-engine planes that can do things like this. I mean, it would have been nice if we had all of our P-47s on the team actually climbing. As you can tell, we've had a P-47 D-25 farming ground targets for the last 5 minutes. What a waste, is all I will say. The Hitler Bolt is one of my favourite planes, and that is basically a Hitler Bolt, even though it shouldn't be. It should be a Razorback. But that's a story for a whole different day. But at the same time, it's just like, what's the point of grinding your way to get a P-47 if you just go ground attacking it? It's a waste of a plane. I don't know. It's just the way some people are, and it really ruins ARB, because you get people like that P-47 who are going to do absolutely nothing. All he's going to do is farm ground targets, such as AAA. He's even got to the point where he's dropped 1,000 pandas on AAA. And there goes a Typhoon who was trying to turn fight with G-55, which didn't end well, as you can imagine. Now we have actually reduced the enemy team to just 5 players. We've got a 217, a G-55, an ME-410, a G-55S, and a Focke 190A5. Now, me and Harry are already back up at altitude, because this thing goes like a flippin' homesick angel, as you can imagine. And the G-55S is now diving on the Tigger. So we're warning him and everything, saying, look, G-55S coming in, I'm diving on it. Harry's probably going to be on the way as well. And he does crit the G-55, but unfortunately, the G-55S has weight of shot, and it has meaning of shots. So unfortunately for Tigger, and obviously look at my airspeed, I'm about close to ripping this thing's wings off. It's, whilst I do kill the G-55, that's pretty much going to be the end of Tigger, because unfortunately his aircraft is shot to shit. And there's not a whole lot he can do. And obviously now I've got a Focke-Wulf 190 catching up to me. Now those of you that don't know about Antons, they do dive really well, and they can actually keep with an XP-50 quite well. And obviously I don't have a lot of room to maneuver. We're nearing the enemy airfield, and obviously Tigger's pretty combat ineffective. Harry's 3 miles out, and I'm just thinking, what should I do? Tigger goes down due to damage, and I just think, right, I'm going to turn this thing as sharp as I can, and I'm going to try and hold this son of a bitch off long enough for Harry to come and give me a hand. Now, don't get me wrong, the Anton's got good performance, but at the same time, my bet's on the Skyrocket. However, this Anton player knew what he was doing, at least. But not that much. Kill number 4. And it's at this point where the G-55 that killed Tigger is now coming for me. And obviously, I ain't got a lot of speed, and my climb rate ain't going to do shit to help me out here. Now, I'd just like to point out here, you notice how the left engine went orange before the tail and the fuselage did? That's overheat. These engines have been overheating practically the whole time. And obviously, I'm flying this thing very evasively. I'm saying, Harry, you need to kill him, dude. And he's like, I'm trying, and it was, the comms was all over the place, but he manages to get the G-55 to shake off. Harry's going to kill him, but obviously I want to help out Harry. I can't leave him behind, and as the old saying goes, never leave a man behind. But Harry's got him, so I say, look, I'm shot to shit, I need to head back. I was actually very lucky to survive the hits from that G-55. Any other time, if it wasn't for RNG being on my side for once, which is as Rose rockin' horse shit, I would have been dead. The simple fact, I would have been dead. And there goes the G-55, leaving just a Messerschmitt 410, who is farming ground targets, and a Do 217E4. You can see the 217 later. And this is another thing that I learned about the XP-50, flying it. It doesn't care if it loses an engine. But if the airspeed drops, but this is like, I'm basically on one engine at this point, and you can see it doesn't care. It's actually gaining speed. It really doesn't care. So I don't really have to worry too much. Obviously, the left engine just got black, and it's going to die very shortly. But here's another bit of advice. You know that multifunction menu they added recently? I think it was with patch 1.97. I've actually been learning to use that, and it's actually pretty effective. I've got to give them that. Like, they've designed the menu well. Some people don't like it, but I do. But that sort of menu is exactly what I needed, because now I'm manually shutting down the left engine. Because the aircraft does torque steer when it's trying to obviously land and everything. Does torque steer, so if you can manually shut down the engine, bloody do it. That's just how I felt anyway. But nothing really happened in the chat anyway, in case anyone was curious, because that was getting on my nerves, to be honest. But at this point, I'm basically flying on one engine, and as you can tell, it's maintaining 210 miles an hour. It really doesn't care. It's got the right engine, or the remaining engine has more than enough power to get this thing home, and obviously I've had to manually feather the prop at this point. So I'll tell you, that menu, once you get used to it, it really does work, because you can feather a prop, you can shut down your engine, you can adjust supercharger and everything. It's perfect. But at this point, we're down to the 410, who's about to be killed. I think you can guess what happened to Mr. Tanker Trash. He died. Spoiler alert. And the P-47, Raven Rock, manages to kill the 410, so now it's just a 217 left. However, the 217 gave himself away. He was farming AAA. And eventually, the P-47 gets close enough to actually spot him. Which I thought, perfect, might be able to get an ace. And whilst the 217 does get to drop his bombs, what you have to remember is, this is a map where bases don't matter, and this guy decided the head-on was perfectly fine. I don't know why he was addressing me there. I think it's because he thought I was going to take a head-on and commit when I know he's got a 20mm. And at this point, the P-47 pilot looks like he was trying to TK. I'm not entirely sure, but his attitude of flying made me go on a defensive, so I'm not sure what he was going to try and accomplish there, because in a dogfight I would have my money on the XP-50. So like I say, 1,750 Golden Eagles, it is well worth the money. I know it sounds a bit expensive for what it is, but 3.7 with this performance and firepower, you really can't go any further and say the BTD would be a better choice. Because, newsflash, there is a reason why the XP-50 does not crop up in war bonds very often. I don't think it ever has, actually. Maybe it has on one occasion, but there's a reason. But anyway, I'll see you all on the next one.